Goldbrand is a fiery sword with good base damage that can be acquired as early as level 20, and the requirement to start the quest for Goldbrand is 1 Daedra Heart, and you have to go to Boethiah's shrine and fight 9 high-level champions that have good gear and good equipment. The location of Boethiah's shrine is southeast of Shaden Hall, and you can actually find it right here. So the easiest way to get there is to place your cursor about halfway through this little river here, and then just go over to the mountains, and you're right there, and then just put a little marker. So once you get to Boethiah's shrine, you just offer the Daedra Heart, and then start the quest. After talking to Boethiah and offering the Daedra Heart, you just go into the portal, and I am going to show you the dumb way to beat every single fight. And really, it's just one way, and you just use it on all the fights if you don't want to fight the things, or if your build is bad, or you're having a hard time. Now, you can easily fight these things if you have a good build for Master Mode, or whatever difficulty you're playing on. But if you want to cheese this, I'm going to show that. Because I don't know what build you're running, or what challenge you're doing, or what mods you're running. But what I can show is the easiest way to beat every single one of these things. Alright, so the first thing you do is you jump over to where their cage is and hide and get them to come close to you, and just keep running back to get them to come as close to you as possible. And what you're looking to do is to get them to drop down, and eventually they will run into the lava because they're stupid. And for archers, you can get them to switch to melee usually. And then once they switch to melee, just do one of these. Lava, it turns out, is really strong. Actually, I can just kill him right here. But you can get them all to path into lava, including mages. All you have to do is get them to chase you and get them like down beneath where their cage is, then jump over here, and they usually will follow you over. Also, make sure you check all of their loot. As you can see, some of this loot is absolutely ridiculous. For example, some of these arrows might be insane. Bow of Storms. Look at this. Some of this stuff is really good. The other thing too is as you kill them, you can use all this stuff, and they also tend to drop a lot of strong potions of healing, which makes the future fights easier. So this quest is actually weirdly really easy, just from the lava exploit, if you want to call it that, or just from killing one and then you get a bunch of good stuff. But there's at least like 2 to 3 archers that drop a bunch of enchanted arrows of varying degrees of strength. So depending on what level you are, you might get more or less of them. But also make sure you check their dropped weapons, because they drop like Daedric stuff. So a nice thing to do is to unload all of your inventory. So in my case, I have a bunch of extra weapons I don't need. But make sure you're as lightweight as possible, so that when you enter here, you can take as much stuff with you as humanly possible, because it's worth a ton of gold. So after you get Goldbrand and do the quest, how good is this thing? Well, I'm just going to attack a summoned Daedroth with basic attacks. And you can see that each hit is dealing a decent amount of damage. So we're able to kill things in a reasonable amount of time. However, if we add a basic ramp, we deal way more damage. And if we want to kill things very quickly, 2 ramps plus Goldbrand is enough to kill things rapidly. As you can see here. So let me show you the spells as well as go over the other properties of the sword. Goldbrand has 3000 charge level, which means if you want to charge it fully, you're going to need 2 to 3 greater souls or around 2 grand souls, which isn't too bad. It does have 77 uses and 22 points of fire damage. Goldbrand is unleveled, meaning that as soon as you hit level 20, you can get it. And in terms of raw damage, it has the same damage as a Madness longsword, fully upgraded. So level 25 plus Madness longsword. But it does have a kind of unique enchantment in that it has 22 points of fire damage with 77 uses. And if you were to custom create a sword with 22 fire damage, you would have like 40 uses, but obviously your charge level would be lower. So there's pros and cons to it. But with ramping, Goldbrand is huge value, because then it kills in a few hits, and then it just has like a lot of hits stored up. The most basic spells you would want to make with Goldbrand in order to get it killing would be something like this. So weakness to fire on touch, or I would say 10 seconds, and then weakness to magic afterwards for 10 seconds. So this would be your ramp 1. Now you could use just this spell and add Soul Trap if you don't want to use ramping, where you cast multiple spells, and that would be fine. But assuming that we do want to cast multiple spells, what I would then do is cast Soul Trap for like 3 seconds, and then get my Mysticism to 100, and then do the same thing. We could do 8 seconds for the second spell. So here's the second spell. I'll call this ramp 2. And we want Soul Trap because the weapon itself does not have Soul Trap. So there's ramp 1 and ramp 2. So this gets us 2 really cheap spells. You can also alternate and recast ramp 1. So here's just a 2 ramp combo. Look at the damage I'm dealing on master mode. Pretty huge damage, then we can reset. And the nice thing about having Conjuration is you can always reset. Let's do a 3 ramp combo. Does insane damage and kills almost instantly. So if you do a 3 or a 4 ramp combo, Goldbrand will kill in like 1 to 3 shots, which is pretty huge value considering how cheap these spells are to cast. The first spell is 25, the second spell is 20, so you cast spell 1, cast spell 2, cast spell 1, and then it's one-shotting. For the actual rating for Goldbrand, I'm going to give this thing, I think it deserves like a 9.5 out of 10. It doesn't have built-in Soul Trap, but it does do enough damage and it has enough uses that with a 2 to 3 ramp or beyond, it kills so quickly and so efficiently that its 77 uses can be used in extended battle and can easily be maintained in terms of charge level with Conjuration. It also has the same base damage as a Madness Sword that is level 25 plus, so essentially you get an early Madness Sword with Fire Strike, 22 points, which is pretty huge value. And even without ramping, this is a great sword in master mode if you're not using any destruction at all, because it does still deal enough damage to kill, and it has good base damage. So if we just summon a Daedroth, like let's say we're doing like a challenge run, or we don't want to allow ramping at all through destruction, it still deals pretty decent damage with basic combos and can kill things in a reasonable amount of time. So it's still quite strong without anything, and with ramp it just becomes insane. And 77 uses is nothing to scoff at. But that is it for this one. Definitely like and subscribe if you enjoyed this or found this useful, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.